Are you ready for some hot, fresh new insanity? Because Upper Echelon just keeps losing it.
Okay, who's ready for this one? What if I told you that on April 7th of 2025, during the global tariff mania caused by President Trump, a troll post on social media began circulating, and that this one individual troll post would result in multi-trillion-dollar market manipulation with an Ouroboros-style snake eating its own tail kind of outcome, where probably nothing
Yeah, that's just an over exaggeration.
happens and no one ever gets held accountable, despite an untold and mind blowing amount of money changing hands as a direct result of it. Here's the context. Basically, the entire global stock market is crashing right now. Depending on when you watch this video, there may be new tariff policies on the table. The bleeding may have stopped, is what I'm saying. But on April 3rd, 4th, and 7th, as a direct result of the impending tariff standoffs all around the world, the United States stock market experienced some of the single largest one-day declines in history. Of course, Donald Trump could fix that problem within, let's say, 15 seconds. If he tweeted, haha, JK, never mind, the market would almost certainly immediately stabilize, because the downward pressure is almost exclusively caused by the prospect of American businesses being directly harmed by unprecedented new tariffs on practically all of our closest allies. Still, without diving too far into the politics of it all, because I have
True, except the part that American businesses are being harmed.
strong opinions there, Wall Street traders, portfolio managers, even everyday Main Street investors on April 7th of 2025 were desperate for news about what might happen, who might capitulate, and how the markets might perform. Cool, sounds simple, right? It's anything but simple, but sure, yes it is, we'll call it that for right now. However, what's not simple is the media game of telephone, something I've referenced on numerous prior occasions in different videos. The fact that Twitter is now a breeding ground for the most obvious, brazen, and inexplicably tolerated disinformation spreading on planet Earth, and that all of these factors combined.
Yes, it is. And you know what? That's fine. That is completely and absolutely fine. If you fall for any of it, that's on you, okay? The world should not be built around the concept that some people have such a lukewarm toaster IQ that they can't figure this shit out, okay? The world should never, never work around the weakest links. The weakest link should break and be replaced. That is the best philosophy.
Would lead to a situation where a random person says something and the entire stock market makes a multi-trillion dollar move, or sorry, multiple multi-trillion dollar moves. Here's where it starts. This is, welcome to the mainstream spotlight stage here, buddy, Hammer Capital, a literal nobody.
Yep.
Elon, take my $8 please blue checkmark account, who posted at 10:11 a.m. Eastern Time, quote, Hassett, Trump is considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except China, end quote. Well, zippity-doo-dah, right? Pause the tariffs and the markets will immediately rise, most likely. What could possibly go wrong? A lot. That's the answer. A lot can go wrong. 2 minutes later, at 10:13 a.m., an account named Walter Bloomberg, no relation to Bloomberg News whatsoever, yet another Elon take my $8 please blue checkmark ad revenue farmer, posted, quote, Hassett, Trump is considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except China, end quote. That
Okay, so the obvious implication here that this guy read this tweet previously and now he just copies it, which is fine, okay? If someone just takes this and believes it and says, oh my god, it must be true, I saw it on Twitter, that's your own fault.
That seems fantastic. Now we have two random people saying that the tariffs are about to be paused. Seems a
Okay?
lot more credible, no? Well,
No.
the impact that this had on the stock market was immediate, and a couple minutes later, a CNBC anchor.
Listen. This is why I have for years advocated that the stock market is just pixie dust and fairy glitter. It doesn't make sense. It's all just hype. That is the reality of it. Nowadays, someone tweets, and yes, the stock market literally follows because the meme got traction. Yes, That's how the world functions. News alert, the stock market has always been complete fucking bullshit, by the way. Okay? Do you know every single bank in the world, without exception, is currently doing one thing illegal, and that is naked short selling? Yeah, because they don't give a shit. They never have been punished for it, and they never will. And the thing is, at this moment, this situation of naked short selling is so bad. If you actually stopped it, the world economy just sinks forever, and nothing matters anymore. So you can't even stop it. The stock market has always been complete BS. So the fact that a tweet made and deleted trillions, I'm sorry, am I the only one not really shocked by this?
Live on air, said this.
I think we can go with this headline. Apparently, Hassett's been saying that Trump will consider a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except for China.
Except for China.
Oh, well, that's huge. I mean, that changes the game.
We'll try and source that exactly in terms of where that's coming from. There, But to your point,
I mean, yeah, that's the news. They should actually, I don't know, maybe check sources, try to corroborate shit. Maybe they should actually try and do that. Not just go by a rando tweet by a literal nobody. That's just memeing, and down below it is a link to some kind of OF. Okay? Maybe they should do that. It's not on the guy who tweeted. I'm allowed to say whatever the fuck I want on Twitter. These guys are the news. They're supposed to actually, look at things objectively. It's not the guy's fault on Twitter that he decided to tweet something stupid, and now the stock market decided, oh my god, let's trust this random yippity yappity to decide the fate of the world. It's not his fault.
Yeah. Longer term, let's say, okay, we get a 90-day pause. I don't know. I'm curious to get your thoughts about credibility. Sarah and I were talking about it moments ago.
We're not.
What it means for policy going forward, and/or how you navigate this, both as a decision maker at the top of a company or an investor.
No one likes this uncertainty. This is a negative. That he could do something like this and not listen. Let's hope Congress takes back the powers of the tariff that the fathers of the Constitution wrote in and gave them, and they gave up to the president.
Let's recap real fast, okay? Random Nobody on Twitter, number 1, says 90-day pause on tariffs. Big thumbs up. Random Nobody Twitter user number 2, I guess maybe sees that and says, yeah, that seems fine. Reposting it then to a larger audience. And then CNBC, who sees it after, as the market's already started moving, says, sure, let's just say that live on air. Awesome. Really.
How is it two random nobody's fault that the news just decided to magically make them authorities on this? Like, how is it their fault? How are you gonna blame people posting shit on Twitter for this? Like, how?
Really cool, except the ball wasn't done rolling yet, because now that CNBC said something, Reuters decided to say something, also issuing an official alert using CNBC as their source. Obviously, the markets were now fully pumped up. The Dow Jones Industrial Average had swung by like 2,000 points in minutes. And then the official rapid response account for the White House comes in and says, wrong, fake news, sending the market plunging back into the negative very fast. The White House was replying to this account, a very big account called Unusual Whales, who I think does a fairly decent job, actually, covering financial news. And their post came at 10:16 in the morning, which means they were technically after CNBC. So not the source or even the original circle of misinformation spreaders, more like one of...
Well, you see, the Trump White House is literally calling all news fake news that's bad about them. So naturally, if they can't just reply to MSNBC and credit them as like being worth of a reply. But the irony here is, considering all news is fake news now and all the real news is on Twitter from random people who just randomly yap shit, well, why shouldn't the news just copy what Twitter's saying. Like, you can't really go much more wrong than that at this point, right? And that's kind of the big problem here, because we're at the crossroads where, honestly, why shouldn't they? They didn't have any integrity previously to this, so why not have less integrity? Why just not copy the big popular tweets and make it into the news? I mean, it's a free, non-stop source of viewership and engagement at the end of the day. So why not do it? And I mean, the fact that Unusual Whales just randomly gets a response instead of anyone else is hilarious because, again, since Twitter has been made news, and there are prominent accounts like, what's her name? Laura Loomer? I think she gets in my timeline, which is the hilariously most trusted source of news for a lot of people, which literally, not even a day ago, by the way, made a post saying that there is this insane Chinese conspiracy theory going on because buses that were a firm that rents out buses to people was bussing anti-Trump protesters around is somehow a 20-year-old Chinese deep state asset that is currently colliding with the Muslims. I don't even know who the Muslims are in this case, but somehow the Muslims are collaborating with the Chinese to bus around Trump supporters, anti-Trump supporters, to protest Trump. I mean, that... I wish I was making this up, but this is the official most credible source of news. And yes, that is the theory. Why can't it just be, a busing company that does, what businesses do and rents out buses and they don't give a shit who they rent it out to? No. It needs to be a Chinese conspiracy theory with the Muslims. Again, I still can't figure... I tried to figure out who the Muslims actually are, but I couldn't. Yeah. It's just a Chinese conspiracy theory with the Muslims. And that's, by the way, a White House accredited news source nowadays, if you're wondering. Like, legitimately. And this news source, obviously, isn't actually American, if you know what I'm saying, which makes it even more funny.
One of the potentially millions of people who heard something on the news and then believed it. Here's where it gets funny, okay? After the White House called it fake news, CNBC, of course, immediately published that. Reuters, of course, again, immediately retracted their alert. And then the scrutiny shifted back to Twitter. Walter Bloomberg and Hammer Capital, who were these guys? And why was it that they were the earliest known...
Wait, I don't believe that there's any scrutiny against these guys.
...mention of this fake news tariff pause. Get this, Walter Bloomberg, in a direct message statement to the New York Times, who was running a story about this as it happened, claimed that, quote, the post had originated minutes earlier from another X account. Given the market movement, plus 4.5%, I deemed the headline reliable and posted it at 10:13. And he goes on to say, a few minutes later, Reuters picked up the story, citing CNBC. And
you know what's the irony of this, by the way? The fact that this would be true if the White House just didn't say this is not true.
Quote. Now, from where I'm sitting, that sounds like it has to be Hammer Capital that he's referring to. It sounds to me like he saw the random post from Hammer Capital at 10:11 in the morning and then reposted it himself at 10:13. But after people started pressing him about sources in a reply to someone under his now deleted post...
Why the hell would you even need sources for this? I mean, you're just a Twitter account. Who fucking cares?
Walter Bloomberg directly claims, when asked where did the headline come from, that Reuters was the source of the information. Remember, in the timeline of how this all happened, Reuters didn't even put their headline out there until about 10:19 in the morning, directly citing CNBC, which was also after Walter Bloomberg made the claim himself. And let's also not forget that he told the New York Times that the post originated from another X account. Walter, Buddy, what happened here, bro? Like, what really happened here, Walter?
Okay.
Let me tell you what I see. I see a random fucking moron on Twitter posting completely untrue bullshit. And then another moron on Twitter.
Yeah. And, like, can they not do that? Is that illegal? What's exactly the problem here? Maybe the news should actually try being the news and check sources or do something. I don't know.
Says, yeah, oh, my ad revenue, which leads to CNBC covering the news, Reuters picking it up afterwards, and then the random idiots on Twitter, as they get rightly scrutinized for circulating fake financial news that impacted the markets, try to say, well, we got it from Reuters, which would make the entire media cycle of this story the Ouroboros snake eating its own tail. It's a circle of idiots pointing at each other saying, but I got it from him. And it perfectly demonstrates the quote by, I think it was Mark Twain, that a lie can make it halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. Twitter is one of the most brazenly ridiculous platforms now for
well, as long as the lie is interesting enough and spicy. I mean, I hope it makes it around the world.
Spreading verifiably false information. And yet people still keep falling for it. The entire platform has devolved into a cesspit of spam and revenue farming, engagement.
It was already previously dead, though.
Bait, disinformation, even nation state actors running botnets to influence politics. Like, it's so much garbage and lies. I'm not going to sit here and claim that the prior version of Twitter was perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it was worlds better than whatever this shit is. And now even mainstream news publications are falling for it, because at a time when there should be even more effort placed on verifying information, there was not. There was less emphasis placed. Everyone's going to play pass the blame now, but my guess is that these random Twitter dipshits are just in way over their head. Maybe there's more of them, it wasn't just these two, but when you are the apparent first person to make a significant financial claim, and then the entire stock market whipsaws trillions of dollars in value because of the fake news.
How is that their fault? Again, listen, there's no law out there that makes someone on the street responsible for saying, "Ah, man, I think today's gonna be a bad day," and someone just decides to sell 3 billion and trillion and whatnot in capital because that guy said that. Okay, that doesn't work like that. This whole take is based on, for some reason, everyone on Twitter should have a journalistic license.
News that you seem to be the first person to spread? Yeah, you done fucked up bad. And you probably shouldn't be doing what you're doing. You should most likely delete your social media accounts and no longer work in the world of finance, bro.
Who's saying they're working in the world of finance?
I doubt that there will be any consequences for this whatsoever, but I really hope that
there shouldn't be.
There are.
It's not their fault someone decided to be stupid and fall for it.
Is these, for lack of a better word, losers chasing ad revenue on social media to any extent that they can, even when that means unverified information or blatant lies or twisting the truth for the sake of a payday, they need consequences. They need to witness others just like them get nailed to the wall for making costly mistakes.
How are they? Okay. So if I make a statement, the stock market goes up, and it does go up. Wow. Do I get like a % cut of the profit? Does it work like that now, or what's going on here?
Impact hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly more. And they need to have it always in the back of their mind that the same thing could happen to them. Overall, whether or not someone is ever held accountable and whether or not Hammer Capital and Walter Bloomberg were the true original sources of the claim, someone obviously was, and that someone is now a $1 trillion tariff troll after the news that they sparked impacted the entire United States stock market. Hammer Capital did come out later in the day and claim that this was all because of a trading desk circulating the headline at 10:09 in the morning, resulting from a misinterpretation of a Fox News interview. But first off, how would he know the reason for the mistaken headline when no one else does? And then obviously second, where's the proof? If this was really circulated,
Who cares? Why are these people even being blamed? I don't get it. What? Why do we need to live in this world where you are not responsible for your own actions? Why is everyone else responsible for everyone else's actions, but you can never be responsible for your own actions? This is stupid. Anyway, that was Upper Echelon, 10 out of 10 up. Another kind of completely out of the pocket wild take. It is getting fun. Bye.